Good morning, everyone. Today we can discuss the subject Computer Organization and Architecture, CST 202. In this subject, we are dealing with the organization and architecture of a computer. You have 5 modules. In first module and first part is the basic functional units of a computer. Before that, we can discuss what is actually a computer. Computer is a machine, right? It's a machine in which it can be used for computing. It takes some input and performing some computation, and it will produce some output. Right. You are all familiar with the computer. Or generally we are speaking about system. Okay. And next is, what is a basic structure of a computer? This figure shows the basic structure of a computer. You can see in this figure, we have some main memory system. There is a central processing unit as well as input-output system. Okay, mainly 3 functional units of a computer, or the basic structure of a computer includes 3 main functional units. One is its central processing unit. It is the main part. Second one is a memory. And the third is input-output unit. Then, why we are using the central processing unit or memory unit or input-output unit? We had already discussed that a computer is a machine which takes some input and performing some computation, and it will producing some output, right? So we have input-output unit, right? So the main purpose of this input-output unit is giving some input information to the or input data to the system or the machine, and the output unit which is used for producing some output from the system. Okay, so we are giving some input data to the system. After that, performing some computations. So for performing computations, we are using some processing part. Computation, it is otherwise known as processing. What data we are giving into the system is processed by a unit known as central processing unit. After processing, it will output by using the output unit. Along with these 2 main functional units, we have another important unit, that is memory, main memory. And what is actually the memory's function? It is used for storage. What the data we are giving into the system, it will be stored into the memory. It will take from the memory to the processing unit for the processing. After processing, the results will be stored back into the memory, or sometimes it will be generated to the output unit. Okay, so this is the basic structure of a computer. That is, we have 3 main parts: input-output system, central processing unit, and main memory system. And you can see in this central processing unit, we have some registers part, we have some cache memory, and we have arithmetic and logic unit along with a control unit. All these should be together known as central processing unit or the CPU. Okay, so a CPU which contains ALU and control unit, that is arithmetic and logic unit and control unit, along with some operational registers. Some registers in cache memory is there. Within that, you can see a program counter. It's a special type of register. Okay. So already discussed that what is a computer. Actually, it is a electronic machine that is used for some computation or some calculation. Okay, it accepts some input information and it processes the information according to the list of internally stored instructions, and it produces the resulting output information. That is the main functionality of a computer. It takes some inputs or it accepts some inputs, process that inputs, and it will produce some outputs. And for processing, we are using some instruction. Actually, what is an instruction? Instruction is a command which is given to the system. Okay, instruction is a command which is given to the system for performing some processing. Clear? So actually, computer which accepts an input information and it processes that information and it will produce some output information or the resulting information. Okay, so the main functions performed by these computers are accepting, storing, processing, and providing result. Accepting information which is done by the input unit, and storing the data and instruction which is done by the memory unit, and processing that information which is done by the central processing unit, and providing the result by using output unit. Hope you understood. So what is a computer and what is the structure of a computer? So we had already discussed that three main functional units of a computer. Okay, so we have input output unit and we have memory and we have some central processing unit, or it simply we can call it as processor. Okay, so input output unit, IO unit, I bar O unit, which can otherwise known as I bar O unit. They accept information, and output unit sends the results of the processing, and we have memory in which a number of instructions are stored there. They are the commands to the system. Based on the instruction, processing is doing. And this memory stores the information. It stores the instruction as well as information as well as data. Actually, data is the input that we are giving into the system, and the processed data is known as information. That will be also stored in the memory unit. And we have arithmetic and logic unit as well as control unit as part of the processor. And what is the function of ALU and control unit? ALU, which performs all the arithmetic and logical operations, and control unit for controlling all the operations. We need a functional unit, that is actually control unit. Okay, so instruction means it's a specific command which is given to the system for performing some processing. So for transfer information within a computer, or the transfer information between the computer and IO devices, and for performing arithmetic and logical operations, we need some command. Okay. For inputting information, for outputting information, and for transferring information within the system or within a computer, and for performing some arithmetic and logical operations, we need some commands. That commands are known as instructions. Okay, and this set of instruction which is known as a program. So actually, what is a program? Program means it's a combination of more than one instructions. Okay, a sequences of instructions to perform a task is called a program. Then one or more programs are combined together to form a software. Okay, so instruction means it's a basic command which is given to the system for performing some operations. Also, the sequences of instructions which are known as program, and one or more programs are combined together to form a software. So why we are using memory? Actually, they are used for storage purpose. Okay. And where we are doing the operations, processor is used for performing operations. Okay. So the processor fetches the instructions from the memory and performs some operations. We have input unit, we have output unit, and we have processor, CPU, and we have memory. Okay. From the input unit, through the input unit, we are giving in data to the system. It will be stored into the main memory. Okay. The processor fetches or it retrieves the data from the memory and process. After processing, it will generate some results. It will be out by using output unit. Clear? We are using data and information in every sentence. Actually, data is a operands upon which the instructions operate. Data are the operands upon which the instructions operate. Data could be a number or an encoded character, or sometimes it's known as a digital information. Okay. After the processing of data, what we are calling it as information. Okay. Okay. Next we can study what is input unit in detail. So the input unit which gives some input data to the system. Maybe it will give the data to the memory as well as the processor. You can see a keyboard, mouse, etc. are the input unit. There is a need of some interfaces between the input unit as well as the processor or the memory. Okay, so the main functionality of the input unit is giving some input data to the processor or to the memory. For that, in between, we are using some interfaces, input interfaces. Okay, and the next one is memory unit. So for what purpose we are using memory unit? Memory unit which is used for storage purpose, for storing something. Okay, it stores instructions as well as data. Data means what we are giving into the system is the data, and instructions are the commands that is used for performing some processing. So the memory unit stores instruction as well as data. And the processor reads the instruction as well as data from the memory unit. That process is known as fetching the instruction and data from the memory. Actually, processing is done in processor. This processor retrieves or fetches the instruction and data from the memory. The processor can fetch a group of bits from the memory at a time. And this group of bits are known as word. And the number of bits in a word is termed as word length. And for memory, actually we are using for storage purpose. We are storing every data, every instruction within the memory. So for storing instructions and data in memory, and the memory is divided into number of memory cells, and each cell is specified by a number that is known as memory address. So we are using memory address to store a particular data or instruction into that particular memory cell. Clear? We have a memory. That memory is divided into number of memory cells, and each cell is identified by a particular address that is known as memory address, and we are using this memory address to store the data and instruction into the memory, or to fetches the instruction data from the memory. Okay, that is actually known as word location or the memory address. So mainly we have two memories. One is a main memory or the primary memory, and the other one is secondary memory. And the main memory is known as RAM and ROM, that is runtime access memory and read-only memory. And the secondary memory is one of the main examples for the secondary memory is hard disk. Okay, it's very large amount of data and instructions can be stored into the hard disk. And we have two another memories, that is cache and registers. They are all associated with the processor itself. Okay, the main memory unit is different from the processor, but along with the processor we have two another memories, that is cache memory as well as register memory. Okay, registers are the smallest memory. Actually, the cache memory is the intermediate memory between the register and the main memory. Okay. And the examples for secondary storage devices include magnetic disk, optical disk, your floppy drive, etc. are the examples for the secondary storage. So the fastest and smallest in this you can see it's cache, but the smallest and fastest memory is register memory. It is generally attached with the processor. Slowest and largest unit is main memory, as we compare a cache and main memory, but we have four memories: registers, cache, main memory as well as hard disk or the secondary storage. By comparing this four memory, the fastest memory is the register and the smallest memory is register, but smallest is register, and the slowest memory is secondary storage. But if we compare cache and main memory, fastest memory is cache and the slowest memory is main memory. So we have primary storage and secondary storage, or primary memory and secondary memory. Primary memory is fast and the program must be stored in memory while they are being executed, and the large number of semiconductor storage cells processed in words, and each main memory cell is associated with an address that is known as word location or memory address. And the primary memory are RAM and ROM. Secondary storage, they are larger and cheaper. So main memory as well as the processor, which are connected by using a communication connection or channel, they are known as bus. So along with the processor we have cache memory. Also we have registers. Next part is the main important part of a processor unit is arithmetic and logic unit. So the name itself shows that it is the unit which is used for performing some arithmetic operations, some addition, subtraction, multiplication or division, or for performing some logical operation, logical and or etc. All these functions or operations are done by this unit. So in order to execute an instruction, operands are needed. They will be brought into the ALU from the memory, and the operands are stored in some general purpose registers and available in the ALU. Okay, so the main function of this arithmetic and logic unit is for performing some arithmetic operations as well as logical operations by using the operands that are fetched from the main memory. And next we have a output unit, which is mainly used for outputting the result. After performing some operation, the processor generates some results. It will be output by using the output unit. We have a monitor. One of the main examples for output unit is monitor. Next we have a control unit. we have a arithmetic logic unit and cache memory as well as some registers in the processor. Along with this, we have control unit. They're actually controlling all the operations of the arithmetic and logic unit, or controlling all the operation that is performed in a processor. Okay. So all the operations are coordinated by the control unit. If it is an input operation, if it is an output operation, if it's a storage operation, or if it's a processing operation, all this will be controlled by the control unit. Okay. So these are all about the basic structure or the functional unit of a computer. I hope you understood. Thank you.